Okay, bonjour tout le monde. Hello everyone. I'm going to go through this game. Paul Morphy playing as white versus Henri Baucher. I guess that's how you say it. I'm guessing it's a French guy. A blindfold simultaneous. So Paul Morphy couldn't see the board when he was playing. I'm assuming in 1858. I'll go through here. I'm going to go through maybe 2 runs. First time without analysis, just from memory, and then I'll go through some variations after and turn on the engine. Okay, so e4, this is Morphy's white, e5, knight f3, attacking the knight, d6. So this is the Philidor. Main thing is it blocks the bishop. That's a bit of an issue. Usually you play the knight, and then there's either Roy Lopez or the Italian game. So anyway, let's continue. d4 was played. Let's turn these off. Delete. Delete that one, I mean. Okay, d4. Yeah, Morphy's often aggressive, trying to open up the sender, I guess. This puts extra pressure here, and I'm not sure the best move, but d taking is probably one of the main ones. I expected knight takes, but Morphy takes with the queen. You usually don't want to bring out the queen because you're going to get attacked early on, and that's what black does. By the way, you should probably try to work out the moves as we go. Don't just follow it to get the most you can out of learning. So white probably should return the queen back, or maybe to here. There's a few options, but he keeps moving forward. Bishop to b5, pinning the knight, so the knight can't take the queen. There's a few options. Black, this seems pretty reasonable, unpins the knight, and now the queen is attacked again. I was a bit surprised. I thought he'd move the queen back, but he just took here. Black takes with the bishop, keeping the pawn structure intact. And then I feel like I was expecting maybe just castle, but white has a knight and a bishop to develop. He develops his bishop all the way here, attacking the queen. So this invites a pawn move here. Whoops. No. Bad computer. I think it's better to develop the knight or bishop, but black does play f6. Now there's a few options here, but white just retreats the bishop here. Now it's interesting, if black plays g5, notice that this pawn would be pinned because the queen's threatening the rook. So I may as well play it. White can just take it either way, and you can't take back if you take there. I don't know, there might be some other variations, but that's better for white. So that can't be played. So how do I... Okay, this part's wrong. Okay, and then black plays a bit of a weird move, but he plays knight here, which is it's not that bad. The idea is to bring it there, I think, which makes sense because then it can come here. That's reasonable, or even here. Okay, white then also develops towards the center. But notice, okay, at this point, black's got all these pawns on dark squares, so how is this bishop going to get into the game? It's quite awkward, and that's the problem. This square is also quite weak. All the light squares are weak. White doesn't have his light squared bishop, but still. Okay, black develops his bishop. White can now castle either way, and he castles kingside. Yeah, black's looking quite awkward, but he castles. Now, white makes a maneuver to get his knight to this square, sort of. So he checks first. It's always good to, if you're going to do a check, just look, is there any way to block it? And I guess black maybe could consider this, but I think he can just take. So he sidesteps the king. He could also bring the knight there, but it'll be pinned. It's probably better to just get out of the way. And white brings his knight here. This is protected by the knight here, and this knight maybe wants to come here. There's already a threat of forking these two pieces. It seems like black should probably retreat the bishop to prevent... I don't know. Anyway, he brings his queen here though. Okay, now white plays rook here, sort of attacking the queen. And okay, now black plays, I think, a pretty silly move. Okay, he plays rook f7. I don't even know the meaning. Maybe to bring the rook here and to push this. That might make a bit of sense. Or it could be to bring the bishop back. It's a weird kind of move. It's also a bit dangerous. If this knight ever moves, or if it's harassed or threatened, then the queen can take the rook at the moment. Now white plays f4. Now black, yeah, it's a bit. Again. I think this is not the best move. He plays a5, just kind of on the side, and yeah, it seems like maybe white's going for this, maybe, but the rook's already placed here. Also, this square is weak, so white plays f5, and this also kind of divides the board. Notice there's kind of like two sides now to this line. There's this side. It's very awkward for black to get pieces from this side over to this side, you know. Anyway, so it kind of puts a division, and this knight's coming in. So now black kind of realizes this rook's going to get trapped. If the knight comes here, so he moves the rook back, white takes the square, attacking the rook, and the rook moves. Okay, now, yeah, now white plays a move. I guess it makes sense, gaining space. This also protects against bishop here, which there is a bit of danger. This knight's protecting, but this knight probably wants to come here. So, okay, now what did black play here? Okay, yeah, now I think black plays knight here. Okay, which by itself maybe seems silly, but it's coming in here. So at least this is a pretty good square for the black knight. They could also go here and then there. This prevents white from playing g4 though, which I don't know if white wants to. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. White kind of now focuses on attacking the king, I guess. Brings the queen back, hitting the knight. The knight just goes here where it wanted to go anyway. This is probably black's best piece though now. The bishop, I guess, maybe is alright potentially if this bishop pawn moves, or it's keeping pressure. So white immediately attacks the knight. This is also looking dangerous. So black moves back with the intention probably of bringing bishop here and eliminating this knight. I drew an arrow. It's too slow. And now he can also take this way. Let me see. I can think white immediately took it. If black takes this way, it's probably okay-ish. It's a bit dangerous. White can bring his pieces in and probably push this pawn at some point, perhaps trying to open things up. It's a bit dangerous. So black takes this way. Now what was it? Okay, white plays, I'm just thinking if this is right. Yeah, he does a rook lift. So the idea is to bring the rook here probably. Although it could also come here to double rooks. But this king is quite vulnerable, especially the knight. He's quite dominating. Black, I'm pretty sure this is a mistake, but we'll go back over it. Brings his bishop here, ready to eliminate the knight. But a really important thing is you don't always have to bow down to your opponent's like threats. An interesting idea is to take here at some point, because this knight is now pretty much impossible to get rid of unless black gives up the exchange again, which he could do, but until then it's pretty dominant. The bishop can't do anything about it, the queen can't, there's no pawns. It's very powerful. I think that's actually considered an okay move, but he didn't play that. He instead makes a big threat, which is rook here. So see if you can find the threat. You can pause it if you like, but basically if black does, or if let's say black takes, then it's mate in two. That's check, it's forced, the queen comes in, it's checkmate. Okay, so black can't take the knight, not yet. So instead, let me again delete all this. I think h6 is the best move, defending. There's also a rook moving. I'll go over that a bit later. Now it's interesting to work out what should white do. There's ideas of taking here, but a better move, the queen could come in. Better move is queen here. Whoops, no, seriously, delete. Okay, queen goes here, which wins on the spot. Again, there's a big threat here of taking, and then checkmate. And also the bishop's hit. So there's nothing black can do to stop both. The king goes here. Now especially knight takes is interesting, because no, this keeps happening. I can't be the only person that gets this problem. The knight could go there, but yeah, because then the queen can take here, right? But anyway, white takes here, and yeah, this is completely lost. White's up a piece. It's quite aggressive. Even if black trades, This is hitting the bishop and the pawn. This is quite vulnerable. I'll go over a couple variations later. It's pretty bad. So instead, no, just, oh my god, delete. Okay. Black plays a bit of a weird move, but I guess, okay, this threatens to capture. It kind of closes off the rook. It's probably not the worst possible move, but white now has a winning combination. So see if you can find it. Yep, so white plays rook takes. It's forcing, brings the king out, and the idea is this rook can now come in. In fact, that's the next move he plays. And even though the queen is hanging, let's say black takes it, that's checkmate. The knight is covering these two squares, and the pawn's covering this square. So it's a bit like a back reg, but all of this is covered. So anyway, so black cannot take the queen, at least not at the moment. So I think the only move, or one of the only moves, is to bring the king up, so at least it can run here, but it's pretty hopeless. An interesting little bit of accuracy here. It's tempting to play rook, but white plays check here first, and then I don't think it matters. I think officially this move was played, but the game's over. White can then check. There's only one move. I think he resigned here, possibly. Let me just go to the end. Okay, this shows a bit different. This shows this sequence, but I think officially it ended here. But anyway, black moves here, and there's two checkmates. Okay, so black is completely lost now. Game over. So the interesting thing is if he plays check here first, and then white moves here, it might seem like, okay, it's over, but black can play queen here, defending, and it's not quite perfect. Alright, I'll turn the analysis on now. And so let's start with, yeah, I'll go back to the start actually. So I just want to focus on a few key parts. Yeah, I guess it recommends, okay, queen takes is reasonable. I think bishop's the main move here. Takes a little time, but this has been played many times, I'm pretty sure. Okay, it recommends castling, and bishop is not that common. Okay, it's not really considered all that good by the computer, especially with knight or bishop. In fact, I think I can play this now because they're variations. That seems much more reasonable. Like I said, this one really blocks in the bishop. Look at these ones. Really hemmed in. How are you going to develop that bishop? And okay, bishop here is also possible. Okay, knight. Okay, this seems fairly standard. And then this idea, I wonder, yeah, it does recommend it. So I guess in positions like this, you want to think where I would probably just try to develop rooks, but also this is possible. But it's good to try to pounce on this, and this combination pretty much takes the square straight away. Okay, that went a bit down. Was there a better? Let me see. Okay, well, knight d5. Okay, so it reckons knight here is better. Maybe it is. Okay, so that seems to be a bit of an error. Queen here. It considers retreating the bishop. I don't fully understand, so let's move on. This, I think, was a complete waste of time. I do not understand it at all, especially the way it played out. At the very least, after f4, I mean, this is where I would even consider something to move these pawns, to get some kind of opening up the position, trading things. Black needs to do something. He's getting squashed, I think. I mean, it's only +1, so according to the computer. This, yeah, also felt like unnecessary. That seems logical. Okay, now the rook's just moving backwards. Okay, so white's got a pretty healthy advantage, but it's not the end of the world. I did not think of a4 when I was playing through it, but it makes sense. It kind of clamps down, also makes this harder, and means it's easier for the knight to move without worrying about this stuff. Okay, that seems reasonable. And then bringing the queen back is interesting. It's kind of more useful coming to the center. Like, that's the thing. White's got a space advantage, so white has more chances to come around, whereas black's quite awkward moving around to defend. Okay, and then this makes sense to try to eliminate the knight, which is also in some ways a good defensive piece. It's controlling a lot of squares. Okay, I think that one was a key mistake as well, or maybe the next move. So I think here there's already serious threats here, as we saw. So bishop here is a complete mistake. The evaluation goes way up for white. So what is it recommending? So h6 already, or b6. I think that's the thing. The bishop here is actually a liability, because then once we start focusing here, I make the threat. I don't care about you taking here because this threat's a lot bigger. You got to deal with that, and now the threat is still there, and this time I'm hitting your bishop. So moving the bishop there was a mistake. There's not much to do. If rook, oh wait, was it here? Yes, so maybe, yeah, the rook could move, let's say there. What does it recommend? Okay, yeah, so don't take with the rook yet. Knight takes is possible, but yeah, bring the queen in. And then what, h6? Knight, okay, now the knight takes works. Check, and these two ranks can be infiltrated. So it doesn't matter where the king goes. Let's say there, and then we can check again, and the pawn's covering these two squares. There might be a slightly faster mate, doesn't really matter. Okay, so that doesn't really help. Yeah, same here. I don't think there's anything else really. Bishop f8 does not make much difference. Okay, if we take, then they can bring the queen over. The idea is this is protecting this, so at least it's better than nothing, but we still win a piece. That's the other thing. Even here, so let's look at this. It looks really bad. So say bishop f8. You can even just take here. Oh yeah, bringing the other knight in is very dangerous. Knight's threatening to take here, forking king and rook. What were some of the other lines? Let's say king h8. I think we can take here already, or take here. Let's say take there. Let's say rook takes. Oh, okay. Well, we're threatening this now. So rook takes, check, and that's checkmate. If they block, then that's just terrible. That's also checkmate. And if they take with the bishop, I think, yeah, we can take here. So that's interesting. If they take, then that's checkmate, because the rook's covering this rank. Or, yep. And if they, what was the other? Yeah, we're also threatening there. So if the bishop, well, hang on. Yeah, so it's just a threatening move. Okay, h5, we just take. What other moves? Let's say the rook moves. Yeah, we can just take here. If they take, checkmate. So yeah, it's pretty dangerous there anyway. So that's the point. Even if you trade the queens, it's not like the attack stops. And then here, yeah, this is a key move. I didn't spot it initially. It's also interesting to note, so even if white plays this is no longer their best move. It's better, there is actually a way to kill them quickly, which is to come around this way. And look at the moves that it's recommending, like a check, which is hopeless. You can just ignore that, or you can just grab the material. It's still pretty good. And then it's recommending, like, yeah, queen takes the knight, which you can take back, or you can ignore, and their king's done for. Like, let's say check. Wait, do they have to go there? I think they can come here. I think you can go here. This looks fine. Checkmate. I'm just going through quickly. Okay, but yeah, at this point it's over. There's also, like, king could go here, but pretty sure you can check that way, and then rook here. So yeah, I guess that's the thing. White didn't play perfectly, but I guess the thematic points are like this. Where is it? f5 is a key idea, and then at the right point bringing the queen over, and then the eliminating their strong piece, rook lift, ignoring their threats, focusing on opening their king, and then this clever move. So that bishop move was the biggest mistake. Although there were other strategic mistakes before that. Okay, let me just see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So hope you learned something. Hopefully I learned something. I'm just trying to get better. Alright, I'll leave it there. Bye for now.